Welcome to this week's Swarf and Chips. Coming up this week, I'm currently joined by Paul and Gio, where we will be discussing Tornos' technology as Paul puts Gio to the test. We also go to Fanuc and Guhring talking events and apprentices. The popular Cycle Time Challenge is back thanks to Mazak and Holt X, excuse the pun, as we close the show with a gripping story at Holtex. Welcome to this week's Swarf and Chips. So our pal Gio goes to most of his calls and he takes his briefcase with him. So everybody wants to know what's in the briefcase, Gio.
Yeah, through popular demand, you've made me open the briefcase and give away all my secrets, and some people assume that it's full of money, and I wish it was.
Like James Bond.
I wish, Lindsay.
What's the code?
Oh, well, I can't tell you that.
07007.
It's already in there. However,
ready?
it's
Come on,
just
let's have a look.
just my lunch.
Up.
Just my
It's
lunch.
like Paddington Bear. Is that marmalade?
Oh.
Would you like one? Would you like one, Lindsay?
I'll take a sandwich, that's fine. So what's all of this in aid of, Paul?
That was funny. Well, normally I have crab paste sandwiches, but these are much nicer. I had one the other day though. It was as rotten as a pear it was. And I said to my mum that makes them, I said, "Where'd you get the crab paste from?" She said, "The chemist."
I don't get it, but let's head over and see Tornos.
So I've just arrived in Colville. I'm at Tornos. Now, Gio's been here a little while, evidently, with his case that he always carries around if you know him. He's been talking to David Dunn today about two machines. And I'm going to surprisingly put him to the test as to see what he's learned. So let's pull him out here. Guys, good afternoon. Gio, can I just borrow you, David? I'm just going to put this man to the test, put him on the spot a bit today, because I want to find out what you've learnt today about the two machines that you've actually looked at. So I've been to Switzerland, so I've seen these machines before. Let's start with this DT26, Gio. Tell the guys what you picked up.
And I think there's many unique features to this particular model that I've definitely picked up. So basically, let's start with the spindles. So you've got the main and the second spindle, and they've both got 10 kilowatts of power. Now that is excessive power really for a sliding head of this size. So you've got the spindles, but what I really like about this machine as well, another feature is the modular tooling, so the modular driven tooling. So basically you can change it from one platen to another, but what's really great is it's interchangeable from machine models as well. You've got great accessibility, a window from the front, but also a window from the back, which can be removed, so you can be setting from the back, etc., and you've got visibility in the back of the machine as well. And one final point on this machine, so if you were cutting plastics, for example, and you didn't need to use neat oil to cut the plastics, you can run it with soluble oil and save a lot of money.
Tell me about the guide bush and the non-guide bush, because that's possible as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I can simplify that for you quite.
I need to learn this one.
Yeah. So basically, if you were doing long shaft work, you need to support that shaft with a guide bush to give it stability. But if you were doing small components, then you can run it without non-guide bush. Simple as that.
And you can do it. I even learned something here. Right, let's go on to the next one. We go up from the DT to the GT. All right, tell us about this one, G-Man. This has got some pretty unique characteristics, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some similarities between the 26 that we've just looked at, such as the modular tooling, so I'm not going to go back into them again. And again, with the coolant, you can run it with soluble coolant. But with this one, you've got another axis. You've got a B axis within this model, which can service the main and the second spindle. Now, this is quite unique because usually a B axis can only service the main spindle. You've got the spindles again with the same power in each spindle, and again, it gives you that consistency. If you need to be taking a deep cut on the main spindle, you can also take that deep cut on the second spindle. So it's a fantastic feature to have.
You've also got Y-axis on here as well, and more tools on the back.
Yeah, you've got Y-axis, you've got additional tooling on the back. It's obviously a lot larger capability, or capacity, shall I say, so it goes up to 32 mil capacity on this particular model, and the capacity is the same on the main spindle as it is on the second spindle, as well as the kilowatt power.
Got a lot out there. Doors at the front and back too, isn't there, in this one, I think?
Again, absolutely. You've got the accessibility with great visibility and accessibility, but you've got the accessibility from the back of the machine as well. And you know, you go into sliding edge shops, the machines are banked next to each other very, very tightly. With having that visibility at the back, an operator could be looking in into both machines. One point I forgot to mention, both machines have got an option of active chip breaker technology, which is Tornos' solution for chip breaking, so you obviously get the stringy swarf.
I still don't get your joke, Paul.
I'll tell you again later.
The sandwiches are nice, but I don't get it. Anyway, Tornos, bird nesting is what I think you wanted to say at the end of that video.
That was exactly what I wanted to say, Lindsay. And I didn't realise that you'd pinched my briefcase there, Paul. So that's where this is all
there
originated from.
There was money in it then, but not now.
One point I did forget was that on the GT32, there's a modular attachment that fits onto the B-axis, which enables you to do threading. And for people that associate, well, Tornos are renowned for their quality. However, some people may have a misconception about price. They've put a big investment into their manufacturing facility, which they've passed on to their customers. So for people that are looking for a sliding edge, you might think it's out of your reach. It may not be. So fantastic machines.
I also think what we didn't cover here was multi-spindles as well. Over recent years, they've developed new multi-spindle machines and they've made their multi-spindle to be able to be set far quicker than they used to be able to set, because in the past you used to think of a multi-spindle and think you have to do thousands and thousands of parts. Not necessarily the case now with Tornos' multi-spindle, so you can have a 6 or 8 spindle machine, still set it quickly but still get volume production, so you may be able to cut your cycle times there as well.
There's a lot more.
And I've been to Switzerland, it was great.
Oh, okay, sorry. There's a lot more competition in this industry now, this area of the industry, isn't there, with Tornos, with Star, with Citizen, and yeah.
And those machines are in stock.
Okay. Right, next up, Paul and Gio visit Fanuc to preview an up-and-coming open day focusing on EDM technology that's happening on February the 19th. So Gio spoke with Andy Spence.
Lindsay, MTD CNC have travelled to Coventry, to the home of Fanuc UK, and for this week's technical feature, we are going to discuss EDM machining. Now, Andy, Fanuc have been in the industry with EDM machining for 40 years now. How has it evolved over that time?
Well, the machine's evolved immensely with the technologies, the wide feed system, so everything's about speed and accuracy, surface finish.
Now, I've visited many engineering companies over the years across the UK, and I would guess that I see EDM machines in potentially less than 10% of the companies that I've visited, but they lend themselves to a multitude of applications, and you can really manufacture, like the gear on there, for example, many different components out of some very hard exotic materials. So why am I not seeing them in more engineering companies on my travels?
I think in the past that these machines were predominantly for tool rooms, press tool making, etc. And they've demised over the years. So it's now just educating people to sort of change the way of manufacturing it as such.
I mean, I'm looking at that gear, for example. If I was manufacturing a gear that was a lot thicker than that, on a milling machine, and it was out of a really hard exotic material, I'd need a lot of cutting tools. I'd need specialised toolings to get into the tiny rads. I'd have a lot of problems. It would be a long cycle time, but with this, there's no tooling involved. You can do it in one operation. You can put a 4-axis rotary table and submerge it into the machine. So again, what would your message be to people that are manufacturing hard, complicated components, not only in low volume, but medium to high volume too? Why should people look at this as a potential solution for them?
Ease of use. It's a one setup, one tool, as in you only use a brass wire. Unique in the depths of cut we can do, the accuracy we can achieve, especially on an internal form. In the past, you would have had to maybe create a broach, which was very expensive, whereas the EDM can run for £5 an hour. Versatile, very good.
Now, a gear is one example on a rotary table. However, you mentioned, banking up components. So if you were doing components out of a large sheet, you could manufacture lots of the components out of a large sheet. And you've also mentioned accuracy and surface finish. Now, are people not using this technology as much as they potentially should be, just pure and simply down to the fact that they've overlooked it because they're not educated in this particular technology and that they've never used it before?
Yeah, if you don't know what the process is about, then obviously you're just going to stick with a conventional milling or turning and etc. Whereas the EDM can lead itself to so many different applications.
So Paul, I'm going to do back to you what you did to Gio in the first video. And my question is, why would you bring an EDM into your workshop? I think a lot of people have probably got the similar question on their lips.
Well, you got jam on yours.
I know. I'm getting there.
No, I think I wouldn't want to go into too much detail at the moment because I think Gio did cover a lot of the points there. But I think the big thing for me is that EDM technology has changed, as they talked about, and if it's when it's surface finish and precision you're after, where you may have found them as barriers to entry in the past, that's not necessarily the case now, as you'll see from some of the parts they manufacture or they cut using their wire cut machines. The biggest point I want to make is that actually there is the event that Lindsay mentioned before on February the 19th. That's really why we were at Fanuc. February the 19th, they're having an EDM Technology Day. Andy Spence will be on hand amongst other Fanuc experts to talk to you about maybe things you didn't know about EDM technology. Renishaw will also be there with their 3D printing. There'll be seminars throughout the day, cutting demonstrations, so definitely worth it.
I'm looking forward to this.
Fanuc in Coventry.
Because I think there is a little area where people don't know enough about this.
Absolutely, and I think that it's not necessarily a product to replace a milling machine, absolutely not, but I think it's a product that definitely should be working in harmony with a milling machine. And I believe that, you know, like mentioned in the interview, not going into too much detail again, there's probably about 10% of people in the UK that are actually using EDM, but we believe it should be about 80-90%, so there's something not quite right there.
Well, February the 19th is one to watch. I just want to give a bit of a shout out as well to Jim Graff at Graff Machines from Illinois. He's written in, so thank you for watching the show, Jim, as well. So thank you.
I think that just goes to show you, we get loads of comments coming in, but how far-reaching this show has become, because also wasn't one of your customers saying that they'd seen a video from the US?
Yeah, that was last week actually, Paul. So the network is really taking off. We've been visiting some fantastic companies. We were at Bromford Industries recently, and it was our friend from Cale in Sunderland again, Steve Patterson. He dropped me a lovely email yet again. He keeps us posted all the time, and he said that something really interesting happened. He had a conference meeting with America with one of their largest customers, and they were already supplying Germany and Paris. This conference call with America is for a new contract, and they'd seen the Swarf and Chips show. They'd seen their facility. So during this kind of conference call, they felt like they already knew about Cale. So even before he's flying to America, it's been a great introduction to Cale into this potentially new massive customer.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for watching.
How good is that?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
It's interesting. You know, we do bring it's the internet and the technology to your screen.
And just one more thing, Lindsay.
Again,
sorry to interrupt, but it just goes to prove that, you know, people think it's all about RFQs, etc. It's not. It's all about promoting your company. You know, some of the biggest companies within the UK need to be promoted. They need to show off their capabilities, and you can never promote yourself enough, in our opinion.
In our opinion, yeah, definitely. Right, we're going to move on. So if you've not been lucky enough to visit Guhring's new facility, it really is worth a visit. Based in Aston in Birmingham, the company moved into a fantastic purpose-built factory in 2016. And it's not only the building that the company invests in, as Gio found out.
NTD CNC have travelled to Birmingham today, to the home of Guhring, and I'm here with Sam, who's an apprentice at Guhring. Now, Sam, we're looking at the AS200L, the Nakamura tomb. You know, you've picked the programming up on this machine tool quite quickly, haven't you? And this is a multifunctional twin spindle Y-axis machine. Now, can you tell me your journey with this machine?
Yeah, sure. So I went to college and I learned about the programming, but I never did anything on the Y-axis. So I had a day of training, and then since then I've been teaching myself through the conversational programming about how to program the flutes and use the Y-axis on this machine.
So when you say programming the flutes, the components that you're actually manufacturing here at Guhring as a technical partner to ETG are PCD tooling. So you're making them complete out of one piece of steel out of EN24T. You're turning them, you're milling the flutes, and you're milling the pockets, and you've programmed that yourself completely.
Yeah, from scratch. We use a simple bar and take it down with the diameters. The only thing that is left on is the shank needs grinding left on, so we leave 0.3 for grinding. Everything else is as the final piece, the pockets, the flutes, everything is all done.
So how have you found the programming side? You know, this is quite new to you, especially with the Y-axis and the milling functionality on a lathe. You know, how have you found that? How easy has it been? And have you programmed it directly into the machine?
Yeah, I program it directly into the machine using the conversational programming. It makes it a lot shorter, and it helps because you're able to change where you want to start or where you might want to finish on the actual flutes or the pockets or anywhere else. It's a lot easier with the conversational compared to the longhand, because I know when we've tried to program it longhand, there are thousands of lines and it takes a lot longer to go through. If you find an error or anything like that inside of your program, you'd have to search through a lot more of your program to find it, rather than with the conversational we're looking at 15-20 lines to be able to then go in and just say which points you might want to change or edit to then find.
So for people that may have concerns that look at a machine with this kind of complexity, where you've got main spindle, second spindle, live tooling, milling functionality, Y-axis, what would you say to them?
Just give it a go, really. It really is easier than you think it can be. With the right training and just going slow and steady when you first start off, you can completely hold your feedbacks and stuff. You'll know where you're going and where it's going to be right, and then it's easy to change it if there's any errors going on.
Now, the material is quite a hard material, because you know you're not hardening this material. It is how it is.
Yeah.
You know. Now, how does the milling capability cope with the toughness of this material?
Well, we've had to research a little bit on which tool we should use, which obviously is easy in our facility. We've tried different cutters, different flutes. We've tried a 3-fluter, a 4-fluter. We've tried different sizes as well, all of them to find the right one for the material and for the process that we're doing to get the right angle, the right radius and the right finish.
And for small subcontract companies out there that are potentially doing similar parts to this, where they've got turning and milling features on a particular part, but they're doing that part on a lathe and on a milling machine, they could potentially be doing it all on one machine. You know, what would you say to them to reassure them that this would be a fantastic investment for them and it's very easy to pick up?
It's definitely a good investment because it helps that you can keep, say, concentricity and stuff, because you're doing it all in one go. You're not switching between machines, having to then you'd have to clock up and everything like that. You're able to do it all in one go, and the machine, it can be picked up quicker than you think. I started on this machine with the Y-axis specifically only at the start of this month.
Brilliant, Sam. Thank you very much for your input.
If that was my company, I would employ Sam. He's intelligent. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's smart.
Presentable.
He's on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing here is when we visited this facility, obviously it was about these machines that were available from stock. Nakamura ETG still doing the special offer on these machines, the AS200, as well as the Quasar that was there. But he knew, how much detail did he know about not only the machines, but also the process, which I know you're going to talk about.
He's a great lad, absolutely great lad, and it was a pleasure to speak to him and kind of pick his brain, really. He's using a multitasking machine, never used it before, and he's actually milling the flutes, the pockets for the PCD inserts, all in one operation on that machine. He's picked it up he picked up the Y-axis within a month. So for people that have got concerns about investing in this kind of technology, you know, Sam's picked it up within a month. The industry is in safe hands with people like Sam out there, and it kind of goes to show that latest technology and young lads like Sam embracing it, it's really filling the skills gap.
I mean, it's always like a negativity for people to say about younger people and everything, but come on.
That's what it's all about.
This is what and this is part of the academies, the ETG academies as well. That's why they're having such an impact, and they're contributing so much to British manufacturing.
We need it.
Which we do.
And just for ETG as well, they kind of work in collaboration with Guhring, but it kind of goes to show that they're supplying these machines so the students have actually got the latest technology to work on in their placement, in their training facilities, so that when they go out into the real world,
it's already there.
They're valuable to their employees straight away.
Gio doesn't mind when people look at their watches when he's talking. It's when they start shaking
that's
them
why
to
I got
check if they're still working that he worries
Oh
about.
no! It is true. Okay, so before we do this Cycle Time Challenge, I want to mention the Chopsticks winner of the Cycle Time Challenge. Now, it was 70 seconds it took for them to make, and the winner was Stephen Rowland from, I think I'm saying it correctly, Killala Precision from County Mayo. Congratulations, you've won again. It was 80 seconds that you guessed as well, so massive congratulations.
And you've still got jam on your lips.
Oh, stop it. Right, okay, next up, of course, as I said, is our popular Cycle Time Challenge. So, Gio, you found this one with Mazak, and it was at Autosport, wasn't it?
It was, Lindsay, yeah.
For this week's Cycle Time Challenge, we are here at Autosport International 2019, and I am here with James from Mazak. Now, what is this component?
So it's an automated component made for a university which fitted on their car.
Now, how did this component get made before?
So it was 4 operations on 4 different machine tools.
And how long did it take? Did you know that?
Yeah, estimated around 4.5 hours.
Now, you've put it onto the Mazak i400S multitasking machine, and you're doing this component complete in one operation. Now, I don't want to know the time, obviously. I want people to guess, but can you explain the process?
Yes, of course. So it starts out of a 300mm billet, aluminium. So we got all the turning operations, drilling, facing, rough turning on the outside. And then we got 5-axis milling, pockets, conical barrel finishing, 3D pockets, engraving, drilling, keyways. Yeah, so there's a lot of features.
So pretty much every fit, you know.
Every single aspect, yeah.
And you're also using full simultaneous 5th-axis machining to do the conical barrel cutting.
Yes, we are, yes. And we've also got full 5-axis on the second spindle as well now.
And it gets transferred to the second spindle on the expanding mandrel and gets finished?
Yes, it does. Completely done in one process.
So how long do you think it takes to machine this component now?
Now, this is your chance to get involved in this week's Cycle Time Challenge, and you too can win yourself a Swarf and Chips goodie bag. We're doing multiple choice this week, so the guesses are 38 minutes, or 58 minutes, or 1 hour and 12 minutes. How long do you think that it took to machine that part? Now, whichever social media platform you're watching on, put your guesses in the box below, and we will be choosing a winner at random before next week's show. So good luck to you. So let's head over to Holt X with Joe.
So guys, I'm here with Ben from Holt X, and we're going to be talking a little bit about his company. Ben, thanks for your time, and tell us about Holt X.
Holtex is a relatively young company, sort of 3.5, maybe getting on 4 years old. It's myself and Aaron Holt as business partners, basically. Both been to university, both been through the sort of academic side of things. Decided we wanted a change in career path. Left, started up this place, and here we are today.
And it's fair to say, you say you're 3.5, 4 years old. You like your technology here. There's very, you know, all the technology is high levels. We've stood in front of you high in the cell, but you've got multitasking machines as well.
Yeah, we sort of, both of us come from kind of a practical background in family businesses. You know, we've done it, kind of been taught the sort of manual ways previous in life, and then sort of as we started the business, we've taken that knowledge, invested in new technology, and moved forward with it to sort of make a thriving business.
Just for the viewers at home, tell us what technology you have, what machines.
So currently we have 2 bar fed lathes. One of them's kind of the more traditional single turret, single spindle lathe. We have another one, twin spindle, single turret with driven tooling. So that's quite sort of an up in technology. It's essentially 6-axis machining when you get your head around it. And then we've 3 vertical machining centres. So Newer Herco, Doosan, and sort of older hard hinge. And then recently we've invested in a Doosan 5-axis machining centre as well to sort of move the step on again, I guess.
So a lot of investment for quite a young company. So there we have it, guys. Just because you're a startup or you're fairly new into business, don't be scared of investing.
I can vouch for how easy it is to use the presetter and the heat shrinking machine, because I did it when we did the Heimer video.
You did, and you did it very successfully as well. I mean, this is a great story though, isn't it? Obviously, Joe's shown us what machines the guys got and how new the business is. But I do love seeing stories or hearing stories about companies that are founding themselves. But not only just founding themselves, what he didn't go into detail about was too much about the Heimer products there, but the fact that he's invested in the heat shrink machine and the tool presetting to do all that offline to ensure that the quality of the machine is maintained throughout the whole process, because he's got the best or the least run out and so forth.
Absolutely, Paul. I couldn't agree with you more. How many times do you see or you hear stories of where you go into companies where they've got a budget for a machine tool and they use all of their budget on the machine tool, then they scrimp and scrape on the presetters, on the tooling, on the work holding. And it's great to see a company investing in their future, investing in protecting their investment by investing in the best equipment. So for example, you know, the longevity of the machine through having the best tooling, so you don't get no vibration, the microlock work holding on the Herco VMC.
The tools last longer.
Exactly, no vibration. So they're really invested in the best equipment, and I believe personally, and we believe that, you know, you get the best return of investment on the work holding, on the tooling. It's you're only as strong as your weakest link.
And as a result of using all of this technology means that they're making precision parts, and they're having to use CMMs less to check them, because they're pretty guaranteed and ensured that the parts are coming off complete successfully every time.
Let's get his head screwed on.
Cream today, jam tomorrow. Is it something like that?
Oh no. No, right, that is officially the end of the show. Don't forget to put your cycle time challenges in the comments box below, but also you too can submit your cycle time challenges, and then you can test the whole team and see if we can guess how fast you make your parts too. So contact us on all the details below. Don't forget, the new look of Swarf and Chips is coming very soon to our brand new studio, and we cannot wait. So obviously, if you want to get involved, please do contact us. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe on the show, and make sure you're keeping those spindles turning. Now, what is it about that crab paste? I still don't get the joke.
I don't get it either.
No.
So, well, so basically, yeah. So